guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back again and it is Monday, July 15th and it's 8:41 p.m. I just did a super long video and I should have probably split it up and stopped before I did, but I didn't. So we are going to do a little bit more because I do want to get through a little bit of this Q news. Because I don't know when Q is going to post, and as he keeps posting, it's important to keep up with those posts, and I get behind in the news, which is also important because there's a lot of stuff surrounding what Q says in the news, and so I want to get to that. And so we're going to go into the second part of what I just finished and just go on with that news. This is not going to be real long because I'm starving and I haven't had supper and it's 8:42 p.m. So this is not going to go a long time, and let's get right to it. And I'm going to try to turn off my chattiness and get to this. Now, hang on here and I'll get down to where we left off and then we will just continue on. Now, this is actually picking up right where we left off in the last video, and we're going to go on with Lynn Forrester de Rothschild and Bronfman, so forth. So this is again from an anon on one of the chants, and they said, so we've established now that Lynn Forrester de Rothschild and Bronfman, NXIVM, are in business together through Bronfman E.L. Rothschild LP, which is invested in Cemex Concrete, Cement. Cemex is multinational, but hang on here, but has a facility in Tucson, of course, is what we were just talking about with the veterans on patrol. For the new fags who forgot, that's what they call newcomers, new fags, who forgot there was a thing a year back called Backyard Brawl, where people had discovered where human trafficking was taking place from Mexico into Arizona. This situation ended with a standoff with the police or something like that. What a coincidence, which shut the whole investigation down. Sounds familiar, right? Like the guy who shot up Comet Ping Pong. Anyway, that's how the deep state debunk shite. They send in a lunatic with a gun and everyone goes home. And those who forgot, Desert Diamond Casino is right next to one of the Cemex facilities in Tucson. Also worth noting, Tucson is right next to the Mexico border. Also worth noting, Jonathan Rothschild is the mayor of Tucson. I believe this is what Q was trying to tell us. We've got multinational company shipping tons of concrete without question all over the world. Cemex is most likely a front for human trafficking, and this is how the Rothschild family and the Bronfman NXIVM family are, hang on here, are involved. I think that's a reasonable assumption at this point. Now let's come down here, and we are going on to something a little different here. In 1999, President Bill Clinton awarded Edgar Bronfman, that would be Claire and the other sister's father, he awarded Edgar Bronfman Sr. the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. In the citation, Bronfman was heralded for working to ensure basic rights for Jews around the world. Unless those Jews are children, I guess. Now, so I found that rather interesting. And this, let's look at this. This is a picture of former U.S. President Bill Clinton leaves memorial service for Andrew Bronfman. Proves they are very closely tied at the B'nai Jeshurun Synagogue in New York, January 25th, 2006. Bronfman, wife of Charles Bronfman, heir to the Canadian Seagram's liquor empire, was struck and killed by a car on Monday. Now, this was in 2006. That was the heir it's the wife of Charles Bronfman, heir to the Canadian Seagram's liquor empire. Wonder if that was an accident or not. I don't know. But there is Bill Clinton in the thick of it, and he is obviously close to the family, right? So he is connected to both Epstein and NXIVM through the Bronfmans and through whatever else. Now, this Brantford, dead at 94, the son of billionaire Edgar Bronfman Sr., Matthew, has 6 kids with his first 2 wives and famously split with the second wife, Lisa Bellsberg, after she had reported 2002 liaison with Bill Clinton. She later denied after the split that she had been in a relationship with anyone. So this was Edgar Bronfman Sr. This was his son, and he had 6 kids with his first 2 wives. So the second wife he split with because he reported that she was having an affair with Bill Clinton. Now, I would tend to believe that. She claims otherwise, but I don't know. He's awfully close to the family, if you know what I mean. Okay, and this is from the vote board. Sammy is checking out the new air conditioner. I hope he finds it pleasing because it's staying. So he might as well, be happy about it. Okay, in 1999, President Bill Clinton awarded Edgar Bronfman Sr. the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. In the citation, Bronfman was heralded for working to ensure basic rights for Jews around the world. Bill Clinton attended Andrea Bronfman's funeral in 2006. This is just summing up some of what we've said. And the son of Edgar Bronfman Sr., Matthew, famously split with second wife Lisa Bellsberg after she had reported she had reported 2002 liaison with Bill Clinton. Deborah Norville and Carl Wellner and Edgar Bronfman and Clarissa Alcott Bronfman run in the same philanthropic circles. Well, interesting, including the New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Excuse me. Carl Wellner, who's Papa Marcoux, Wellner Asset Management, Inc. has been attracting clients and bankers from many of the largest wealth firms. More than half of Papa Marcoux's clients are from outside the United States, a mix of old world royalty and newly rich entrepreneurs. Papa Marcoux was famous for showering his super rich clients with luxury gifts. Just more interesting connections. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And Clarissa Bronfman was pictured with New York Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Children president, and Carl Wellner, by the way, is the president of that organization, CEO of Papa Marcoux. Yeah, so lots of connections here. Let me see. The BlackTieMagazine.com, New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, was hosted by his wife, broadcaster Deborah Norville. They arrived with publishing heiress Ann Hurst and her husband, author J. Bright Lights Big City McKinnery. I just find it interesting, all these connections, and I'm working on more connections through just old articles and making connections through his little black book, which isn't so little, and the flight logs. Now let's go on here to the power outage. I think I've already covered this, if I'm not mistaken, but major power outage cripples Manhattan on anniversary of Great New York City Blackout of 1977. Now, the interesting thing is, I heard somebody somewhere connect this to Jeffrey Epstein, that it had something to do with this blackout or whatever, and getting him out of New York. I don't know where they're getting that, and To me, it's just plain conjecture, but I will stay on that and look into it. And if I find anything conclusive on that, I will let you know right away. So let's go back, because I think we've got a pretty good grasp on the whole outage thing. Now, let's look at this. I think this is interesting. Now, this is from August 14th, 2018, but have I covered this? Because it almost seems like I have, but in case I haven't, and if I have already, forgive me. If I haven't, then you'll want to hear this. Investigative journalist found dead in D.C. hotel room weeks after reporting Bill Clinton to FBI and DHS for allegedly raping boy. And, I heard, everyone that's around the Clintons, or, it seems to just kind of die suddenly or commit suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head with the wrong hand, something like that, And I heard that he was booed at a recent Billy Joel concert, and in later news, the entire Billy Joel concert goers, the whole audience, was found dead. I'm kidding, but it wouldn't surprise me. You don't boo them. Well, I would. All right, investigative journalist Jen Moore was found dead in a suburban Washington, D.C. hotel room Monday, according to police, and shocked and distraught friends and colleagues. Moore died of an apparent seizure. Sure she did. Police are closely investigating the cause of death in Prince George's County, Maryland. Preliminary reports from police said the death was not the result of suicide. Moore's body was found by employees at the Country Inn and Suites by Radisson, Washington, D.C. East in Capitol Heights, Maryland. The investigation is ongoing. An autopsy has not been scheduled as of late Monday. Of course they're not going to do an autopsy. Moore, an advocate who investigated abuse and trafficked children, she investigated trafficked children, she didn't traffic children, has been in the process of investigating allegations by a 26-year-old man that, as a young boy, he was sexually assaulted by Bill Clinton and pimped out at private sex parties attended by other D.C. elites. Sound familiar? Yeah. In fact, just 4 weeks before her death, Moore filed details of the alleged victim's claims with the Department of Homeland Security, detailing the allegations against Clinton. Moore contacted Homeland Security Moore contacted Homeland Security beginning on July 6th through July 9th, records show. A week later, she contacted the FBI with identical details about the victim and the shocking allegations against Clinton. FBI sources report no case has been opened on the evidence supplied by Moore. Why not? That's what I'd like to know. Why not? Homeland Security officials could not be reached for comment. Well, I'm sure they couldn't be. Moore had approached the True Pundit's Thomas Paine in June with the allegations against Clinton. Paine conducted a series of face-to-face interviews with Moore and the alleged victim in various locales. By July, the victim agreed to tell his story to Paine, but Moore and the traumatized victim wanted to contact Homeland Security and the FBI first to see if they would open a criminal case against Clinton prior to publicizing the claims. Jen thought that with a criminal probe, federal agents could use the victim possibly to dangle in front of Clinton to see if he made a mistake or tried to pay him off. Paine said she was worried about the safety of the victim and was working to find him safe harbor until the story broke. Now she is the one who turned up dead. Paine and True Pundit were vetting the details provided by the victim. Paine said the allegations were credible and the victim's testimony and details were beyond convincing. Paine said Moore accepted the risks with the story and understood things could get very ugly very fast, per conversations with True Pundit's Paine. She was worried about the victim because he was the first to break the ice, Paine said. There were others wanting to tell their stories, but he was the catalyst. Did she think she could be harmed? Absolutely. This woman was fearless, absolute warrior. a former cop. I don't think she was afraid of anyone or anything. According to interviews, the victim in the case claimed he was sexually assaulted by Clinton on a yacht in New England and knows the identity of several other child victims who were subjected to identical abuses. The victim also confirmed he witnessed other children and people being sexually and physically abused and possibly worse on numerous boat parties. What could be worse than being sexually or physically abused? Death, perhaps? I think that's exactly what they mean. These parties were attended by elite members of DC political class, according to Moore and the victim, both young boys and young girls, the victim said. Moore supplied these details to federal agents and documented the interactions with a number of alleged victims. Within a month, she is dead. In one exchange, Moore discussed an extended stay with the alleged Clinton victim after his interview with Payne. During the interview, the victim sporadically vomited and shivered as he recalled details of his alleged abuse. Yeah, if he was shivering and vomiting, that is quite common in people that are recounting sexual abuse. Vomiting, it really is. So I would tend to believe him. You just can't vomit on command. At least normal people can't. The story is developing more on Wednesday. So, yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting. And I happen to believe it all. Now, let's go back here and try to get through as much of this stuff as we can. I've got a ton of stuff. I could probably do 3 videos, except I just can't tonight because I need to call a friend in Houston and I need to have my supper. All right, now this is not what I want to get into right now. That is a whole other can of worms. All right, let's look at this now, shall we? Jeffrey Epstein has piles of cash, diamonds, Saudi passport in safe. Prosecutors are arguing he should be held without bail until trial because he's a flight risk. Do you think? FBI agents found piles of cash, dozens of diamonds, and an expired foreign passport in Jeffrey Epstein's safe when they raided his Manhattan mansion last week, prosecutors revealed Monday. The passport was issued in the 1980s and gave a residence of Saudi Arabia. Assistant U.S. Attorney Alex Ross Miller said it is not issued under Epstein's name, but did have what appeared to be a photo of him. The safe's contents were disclosed during a bail hearing at which prosecutors and accusers argued that Epstein is a flight risk and should be kept locked up until his sex trafficking trial. I was sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein starting at 14, accuser Courtney Wild told the court. I would just like the court to not grant him bond, just for the safety of any other girls out there. He is a scary person to have walking the streets. Another woman, Annie Farmer, said she was 16 when she met Epstein and he flew her to New Mexico. He was inappropriate with me, she said. Farmer's older sister, Maria, claimed in an affidavit in April that Epstein had abused her underage sister in New Mexico and also accused Epstein and his alleged madame, socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, of raping her at billionaire Les Wexner's Ohio mansion. These people are tied together like, I don't know. The retail mogul Wexner is Epstein's only known client. He did not respond to Maria Farmer's allegations. Journalist Vicky Ward has said that the Farmer sisters and their mother tried to warn about Epstein's sexual predations in 2003 for her now famous profile of the financier for Vanity Fair, but that editor, Graydon Carter, cut the allegations from the final piece. Carter has claimed that he didn't have confidence in Ward's reporting at the time. Epstein, 66, looking fatigued and wearing navy blue jail garb, stared blankly ahead for most of the hearing. He has been held in the Federal Metropolitan Correction Center in Manhattan since where the blackout was, of course, in the area where the blackout was, since his July 6th arrest, but has asked to be released and put on house arrest with armed guards and surveillance. Yeah, I'm sure that it's quite the imposition for him to have to stay confined to the largest private home in Manhattan that is quite luxurious. Anyway, prosecutors said that was adequate to make sure he would not skip town. How naive are these people? The defendant is asking for special treatment to build his own jail, Ross Miller told the court, adding that Epstein has vast assets and every incentive in the world to use those assets. Bank documents the government got last week show Epstein has $110 million in a single account and another $400 million in various holdings, Ross Miller noted. He wants to build his own facilities. Probably he wants, like Swedish masseuses to come in and young girls to come in and serenade him while he's doing his prison time. I don't know. Federal Probation Office agrees with prosecutors that Epstein should be detained, but U.S. District Judge Richard Berman said he has not decided whether to grant bail and won't announce a ruling until Thursday. He told the defense he is not satisfied with the financial information that Epstein filed under seal, which amounted to less than a page, and is inclined to make it public. Epstein's team said the bail submission was admittedly rough, but attorney Martin Weinberg added, "Let me be blunt. Whatever bond you want Mr. Epstein to sign, he will sign. He fully intends to appear." To bolster his argument, and I think it was $100 million that, Epstein said that he would post for bail, but what's $100 million to him? Seriously, it's nothing. I mean, it would be like, it would be like 100,000 to you or I, which, yes, it's a lot of money. Well, it's probably not like $100,000 to you or I. It's probably like 20,000 to you or I. I don't know. Anyway, to bolster his argument that Epstein should be allowed to await trial on house arrest is what prosecutors refer to as his gilded cage. Weinberg dropped the names of two of the biggest financial villains in modern U.S. history who got bail: Ponzi scheme Bernie Madoff and Enron felon Jeffrey Skilling. So what? That is because they're rich. If you're just a poor guy on the street that gets charged of something, you don't have the choice of doing a nice cushy house arrest, do you? No, you're thrown in with everybody else. And I think he should too. I think he should be separated from the general population because we would very quickly find him dead, and we need him very much alive for his trial. All right. So he's not an out-of-control rapist. No? Really? Yeah, I think he is. Yeah. Really, you're not fooling anyone, Weinberg. How do you know that? Judge Berman retorted. Monday's hearing followed a flurry of filings in which Epstein's defense team and federal prosecutor duel over whether the filthy rich financier would go on the lam if he was released. The government argued, yeah, but how do they know who's going into his house? That's the thing. He's on house arrest. He's confined to this massive house. How do we know who's coming and going? He could still be, he's got all these people out there working for him. They could still be sending him girls. I don't know. Oh, what is that bug? That looks like a tick. Hope not. All right. Let me see. Monday's hearing followed. Okay. The government argued that Epstein's international connections and wealth meant it would be easier for him to get beyond the arm of the law. Absolutely. Even if he didn't turn fugitive, prosecutors argued Epstein has a history of witness tampering, including wiring $350,000 late last year to two alleged accomplices after the Miami Herald published its expose on his Florida plea deal. Epstein's attorneys, on the other hand, have argued that the indictment unsealed last week is so flimsy that their client, who pleaded not guilty, has no reason not to fight the charges. Yeah, flimsy. Okay. I think the lawyer's forgetting all the material that they took out, all the, photos of young girls and so forth. Yeah. Anyway, you don't punish first and have a trial second, Weinberg told the judge. I already don't like Weinberg. Epstein has offered up a bail package that included armed guards and surveillance cameras, a GPS ankle monitor, and a trustee who would live in the seven-story mansion and report back to the feds. Yeah, okay. How long before that person would be bought off? He'll say to that person, that trustee, hey, for $100 million, would you turn a blind eye? And the guy will probably say, yeah. Just saying. All right, let's see here. Epstein had just returned from France, where he has a luxury apartment on one of the showiest boulevards in France, when the FBI swooped down a week ago and arrested him at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. 2 days later, an indictment charging him with sex trafficking and conspiracy was unsealed, revealing accusations that the former prep school math teacher had paid dozens of girls for massages that turned sexual and turned some of them into recruiters. Authorities also found hundreds of nude and semi-nude photos they believe include minors. Flimsy evidence? You call that flimsy evidence? The allegations were not new. More than a decade ago, authorities in Florida investigated Epstein for the very same thing. But U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta signed off on a sweetheart deal that allowed him to plead guilty to a state prostitution charge. He served 13 months of an 18-month sentence in jail while being allowed to leave for several hours during the day on work release. And what was he doing those 7 hours a day, several hours a day? Oh, I'm sure he was working. Yeah. The Miami Herald investigation of that plea deal, along with lawsuits by accusers, helped amp up the pressure on Epstein, and the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan launched a new probe, which culminated in the indictment and arrest warrant earlier this month. Those prosecutors have left open the door to a superseding indictment that could contain more charges against Epstein or add alleged accomplices as co-defendants. Prosecutors from the Public Corruption Unit are in charge of the case, though authorities have not said whether any government officials are targets of the ongoing investigation. Although the indictment details alleged crimes against just 3 girls between 2002 and 2005, other accusers have come forward since Epstein's arrest in New York and in New Mexico, where he owns a spread of land called the Zorro Ranch. The case, Ross Miller said, is getting stronger every day. Epstein also owns a private island in the Caribbean and a lavish estate in Palm Beach, a fleet of cars, and a private jet that has hosted former President Bill Clinton, actor Kevin Spacey, Prince Andrew, and lawyer Alan Dershowitz. 2 of Epstein's accusers have said in court papers that Dershowitz was aware and even took part in the sex with minors, which he has vigorously denied. Clinton put out a statement last week distancing himself from Epstein, but failed to mention at least one dinner they attended and the fact that he's in the flight logs. Epstein's scandal has already had a political impact. Acosta, who chose not to charge Epstein federally in Florida when he was U.S. attorney, was forced to step down as President Trump's labor secretary amid fury over his actions in this case. Now, President Trump said he wasn't forced down, so I'm just adding to that because the Daily Beast is not always known to be the most truthful. So the Epstein scandal has, Trump used to be pals with Epstein, but claims to have had a falling out with him a decade ago. Actually, Trump said it was 15 years ago, not a decade. So there you go. Let's go on here because time is a ticking for me, and I need to get through as much of this as I can. I may actually cut there because I do actually have to go. Yeah, there's the Snowbola virus outbreak. Infected pastor brings first case to crowded Congo city of Goma. And there is also, you know, a concurrent epidemic of measles in which all sorts of people are dying in the Congo. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. But it has now, Benai Congo, the Congolese Health Ministry, confirmed an Ebola case in Goma, Snowbola, in Goma late Sunday, marking the first time the virus has reached the city of more than 2 million people along the border with Rwanda since the epidemic began nearly a year ago. The health ministry said the man who arrived earlier Sunday in the regional capital was quickly transported to a Snowbola treatment center. Authorities said they had tracked down all the passengers on the bus the man took to Goma from Butembo, one of the towns hardest hit by the disease, because of the spread with which the patient was because of the speed, with which the patient was identified and isolated, and the identification of all other bus passengers coming from Butembo, the risk of it spreading in the rest of the city of Goma is small, the health ministry said in a statement. No, it isn't, because it's airborne. And I think it's pretty evident that it's airborne now. When you have people over here that have no contact with people over here, but they're still getting it, yeah, it's airborne. So anyway, that is that. And I think right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off, cut this short. I do have probably another whole video to do on this. So I'm hoping tomorrow that if Q does not post, that we will be able to do 2 videos of Q related news. And let me see if Q has posted yet tonight. I'm almost afraid to look. I'm afraid to reload this because there could be like dozens and dozens of Q posts from the time that I first started posting. No, there aren't. Woohoo! We're caught up. We're caught up with Q. We're not caught up with the Q related news, but we will be tomorrow. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. So there you go. I'm going to cut it short for tonight, and I will see you guys hopefully shortly. What's happening here? Tell me. Oh my gosh, am I recording? Yes, I am recording. Thank goodness. For a second, I thought, oh no, none of this recorded. And that would really be, well, that would just suck like a Hoover. So thank you guys for listening, and I will be back tomorrow. And you guys stay safe. Hope that you have a wonderful day tomorrow and that you have a wonderful night tonight. Sleep well, stay safe, and keep seeking truth. Talk to you real soon. Good night.